Hello, everyone. Long time no see. Welcome to Kyron Horman Case Revisited. My name is Samantha, and I got my sidekick with me.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Yeah, I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everybody is enjoying the holidays. I can't believe it's December 1st.
I can't believe it either. I mean, every month I say that, but now that the last month of this year is literally here, I don't know where
Oh
all
my
the time
gosh, and
has
then you
gone.
had to I think you had to put it like that. It really like the last month of the year is here. Wow.
It's crazy. This year really flew. I know, at least for me personally, happy holidays, everyone. Here we are, Christmas already. Christmas time.
Right? Wow. So tonight's live is court documents clear up rumors in Desiree Young's divorces, custody, support, and candidate trip. So
Yes.
that's what we're going to be going over. Just lots of misinformation, always.
Yep.
Lots of rumors when it comes to Desiree and the custody stuff. And just, we're going to go over it all. We've had these court documents for a while. We've been really super excited to do the live, but unfortunately, I had some health issues. I ended up in the hospital this last month. I found out that I'm a type 2 diabetic. So, all those headaches that I've previously talked about in my other lives, we're pretty sure were from the diabetes, but I'm taking medicine. I'm feeling way better. Kaylee is feeling better now this week because she had to go to the dentist and get a tooth pulled this week. So,
Yes. It's been rough. It's been rough around here, but glad to be back with everybody.
I
Oh,
know I'm
and
so
yes, I'm
excited
feeling
to be
better.
here with you again. Oh,
Yes.
I
Feels
know.
like
I
it's
feel
been
like I'm
forever.
in my jam. I know it's exciting. So, I just want to go over. Yes, we got court documents. And we are not going to be sharing the entire thing. There's a lot of personal information in these court documents, and we're going to be sharing on our Facebook and, of course, in the community section here on YouTube. Um,
The
the
relevant
things that are
ones.
relevant.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, we don't want to give out all of the personal information. Like, I'm not joking, there was a lot. So, that's just
And
not something we're willing to do.
also, honestly, this is a little bit of an awkward topic because I personally don't think it has anything to do with Kyron's disappearance. However, the rumors persist. And we want to clear that up and hopefully just squash them once and for all so we never have to hear about the Canada trip ever again.
Right? I know, because it's ridiculous. It happened way before Kyron ever came up missing. And, you know, this conspiracy theory that this Canada trip had something to do with Kyron's disappearance or that Desiree's health issues had anything whatsoever to do with his disappearance, I think is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
but again, we're having more people join, so I just want to repeat myself. We have the court documents. We're going to share what's relevant. I mean, there was hundreds of pages in these documents. We're not going to be showing all of Desiree's personal information. We're only going to be talking about what's relevant and sharing what's relevant. I hope everybody understands that her personal life is her personal life. It's none of our business. And the only
Hmm.
reason we're going over this is because it has something to do with Kyron, the case, rumors, misinformation, things that people should just stop listening to, pretty much.
And, I like what you said in a previous live. After we go through this live and you listen to this information, I hope that if you hear somebody else or you see another comment reference the Canada trip, that you dismantle that disinformation and say that there's no reason to talk about this anymore. It's been debunked, at least in our
Exactly.
opinions. So, um, yes, thank you all for joining. I see a couple more trickling into, and if you aren't a subscriber, be sure to subscribe, and that way you can be notified when we go live like this.
So let's just start by talking about some of these rumors that have been going around. I mean, there's a few, and there's one huge one we'll get to in a second, but like, One of the rumors is that Desiree didn't go to Canada. She actually went to drug rehab.
Yes. Yep. Um, and honestly, I don't know the source of this rumor. I've never actually actually been able to go to the very bottom of where this is, but I've just seen it spread around a lot as everybody always says, it's just a rumor, it's just a rumor. Well, where did it start and why, when there's absolutely no evidence anybody is sharing of this rumor? Why do we keep spreading it further when there's absolutely no evidence of that?
Right. And from what I've heard about this rumor is that it basically started because we know that Desiree was taking medicine for her kidneys, and for whatever reason, like that medication or something was something she got addicted to. She had to go to drug rehab to get over that medication or whatever. But we're here to tell you guys, I believe, in my personal opinion, that it's just a bunch of BS. There,
Yeah.
Was no drug treatment.
No, it's just another attempt of deflection, in my opinion, of what is important in this case, and that's focusing on finding Kyron and seeking justice for him. You make a great point. That I never had even heard it that in detail, that it was really even remotely related to the kidney issues. It's just funny how rumors like that just kind of like, it takes a grain of truth and then just makes it its own lie. And that's the drug rehab part. Desiree says she has kidney issues, so they're going to take that part and then add on this drug rehab. It's just bizarre.
Right. And then after reading, Desiree and Kane and Desiree and Gregory court documents, there's nothing in any of that when they're talking about custody, visitation, her trip to Canada, anything about the fact that she's going to drug rehab either. And you would think that it would be in there if they're talking about custody of the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
And because there's Kyron and Desiree's other son. We're going to call him Q tonight.
Yes. So, yeah, you're exactly right. I've heard people make the argument that why did Desiree have to go so far away? That's part of the reason why people believe she went to a drug rehab facility. But if you think about it, why would anybody go out of the country to go seek drug treatment when there's so many drug facilities in the United States? And second of all, we have verification that she was visiting Seattle to visit her kids. That's where they were bringing the kids for visitation. So how was she able to cross the border if she was under a facility program?
Exactly. Trust me, I have a daughter who went to rehab. She's been recovering for a very long time. You don't leave facilities like that when you're in drug rehab. They don't allow you to just pick up and leave for a weekend to go visit your kids and then come back. My daughter didn't get a chance to even see her son unless we took him to her in the facility. That's the way it works with the rehab programs.
Right. Yep. I mean, I did have friends when I was a little younger that were in long-term rehab centers, and they would get passes, but it was like you said, it was never an overnight pass or anything. It was like from 9 a.m. till noon, right. And then they had to be back. And if they weren't back by that noon, they were like court-ordered rehab is a little different than voluntary, but still, it doesn't make sense, and there's no evidence to support this claim
right.
at all. In fact, there's evidence to the contrary. So,
right. Hello, Zane Lily. Hello, Miss Kim. Nice to see you guys here. We're filling up the live right now. We've got some people here. We're just clearing up some rumors about the drug rehab instead of Canada. And the next one is that Desiree went to Canada to be with a boyfriend.
Yes, that's another funny one, because if Desiree was going to Canada to go move in with a boyfriend, why wouldn't either of her husbands acknowledge that in their custody in court paperwork? They gave specific reasons, and let us tell you, it wasn't Desiree's moving to. Yeah, it doesn't say Desiree's moving to Canada to be with another man or to seek other relationships or anything like that. So again, where does this come from? Where's the proof? Show us the proof. There's none. This is a rumor that is unsubstantiated, and there's proof to the contrary.
Right. Like these court documents show so much. It shocked me because I'm hearing things for the first time that I've never heard before. So we were really glad when we got the court documents because we were both just kind of floored with the information that is in them. I can't wait to share it with you guys. We're both so excited. And the other thing with the boyfriend, like I've been researching this case for a really long time. I've talked to, all of the other women, all of the other men that have been in all of these other forums talking and discussion groups, and I never heard that this boyfriend's name's Michael. Never heard the name of any man. Now all of a sudden there's a name for the man, and I'm just like, what? Where the heck does this information come from? It's just now even more misinformation's being put out there, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. You guys know how we feel about the misinformation. We can't stand it. So we're going to have to talk about the things.
Yes, that's one thing about me is I will get to the bottom of it. If it's the last thing I do, I will find the information if I am able to. And I couldn't find anything about Michael. And the thing about Kyron Horman's case is it's been sleuthed, man. It has been sleuthed. And there's no Michael. Nobody's like ever actually identified who the Michael is, yet we know who every child witness is, we know who the bus driver is, we know who the teachers are, and everybody else, but this Michael, unknown person that is floating around in rumor sphere, no sleuth's ever been able to actually verify his existence and connection to Desiree. I don't like it.
You know what, too? Susie, and I know you said you were going to come in. This is our other admin. I don't know if you're here and listening, but if you and your husband are listening, have you guys ever heard of the name Michael or Desiree having a boyfriend? I'd like you guys' intake because you guys have been researching this as long as I have been. And Susie, you and I have talked about a lot of things before, and I know we've never talked about a Michael. So if you're here, have your husband comment and just let me know. I'm curious. If you're not, comment another time. I'm still curious.
Me too. I am curious. And if anybody's heard this or has more details than what we have access or that we're talking about here, yeah, type them in. Let's talk about them together. But as far as we could tell, it's unverifiable rumor, and it's just, I don't understand why it just perpetuates when this obviously had nothing to do with Kyron. There's no proof.
Kim is saying that Michael is connected to Terri. How is Michael connected to Terri? Can you share with us how you know that or what's been said
I
about
do know,
that?
I believe, wasn't this man that countersued Terri, I believe his name was Michael, but I don't know if it was the same Michael. Obviously that Michael lived in California, not Canada. Yeah. So I don't know.
And another way it could be connected is the fact that Terri is just throwing out a name out there to other people so they'll start talking about a Michael. I'm just saying.
Michael's a pretty generic name.
Plausible. So, and the other rumor is this STD that Desiree has or had back in the day, sorry. And it does talk in the book a little bit about her catching an STD from Kane, but her trip to Canada had nothing to do with this STD that keeps being tossed around. It's sick, you guys. This is a mother of a missing child, and people are out there pointing out Desiree having an STD. Are you guys friggin' serious? I'm only talking about it because it's in the frigging book, but how do you do that to somebody with a missing child?
And what's bothers me about it is the justification I read online about people doing that and saying such vile things about her is because they say, well, if Terri has to answer questions, so does Desiree. Well, guess what? Terri hasn't answered anything. She has not answered a damn thing. That's what that's why we're here today.
Said that Desiree was one of the last people to, or was the last person to see Kyron before he disappeared either.
She's completely unrelated, and she's obviously, I mean, my husband kind of laughs when I talk to him about people saying this stuff to Desiree when we talk about it in private. He's like, "What is Desiree like freaking OJ Simpson over here?" Just just like that is just bizarre. And
it is.
Yeah.
And they say that this STD that she had while she was pregnant, given to her by, they never mention that it's given to her by Kane. They make all these speculations about, one of the creators they worked with actually called her a whore. Like,
Yes.
ridiculous. And
Mhm.
supposedly this STD could have been the reason why Kyron had eye issues and needed glasses. Like, they will just take information and not only start pointing fingers at this mother who is hurting, who is grieving, who has lost their child, but then turns it into horror, turns it into now she's done something to her child because she got the STD. But they leave out that Kane, the guy who is the cheater, I'm sorry, Kane, I know you're out there. I love you. I always talk so highly of you when people talk bad, but I'm just saying we all know you had a
We all
little bit
make
of cheating
mistakes.
thing.
Right, exactly.
Right?
It happened.
Mistake.
We all make mistakes, and it sounds like, we've heard them talk about it, that they have moved past that, but it is a part of their life. So, I mean, it is what it is. He cheated on Desiree, and I mean, I can't say for certain. Desiree's never said she's cheated on Kane, and she was pregnant at the time. So
And
that would
Terri
be kind
says
of hard.
that Kane was cheating on her too. I'm sorry, but that's the truth too. Again, Kane, sorry, but we're just throwing out some facts here. But
We're
the
all about facts.
STD
That's it.
thing just really pisses me off because it's just really gross. It's just, why are you guys even talking about it?
It's totally irrelevant. It's just to pour salt in a wound, to be despicable, and that's why I hope I never hear it again or read it on comments ever again.
Right. And then one of the last ones is the fact that
Desiree dropped her legal lawsuit against Terri.
Right. So this is online. The only reason Canada came up was media were asking why Kane had primary custody. It's odd to me that people get so defensive about it. It's a rumor and not sure if true because it was in Web Sleuths. But the story is Desiree Young declined to be deposed by Terri's lawyer during the civil trial because Canada was going to be brought up. If I had to speculate, I think when Terri's daughter turns 18, truths to all these stories are going to come out. So here they're saying that Canada trip and everything, she just didn't want it mentioned in the civil trial. So therefore she what? She drops it because of that?
Yeah. And again, you can't just decline to be deposed. There's repercussions to ignoring a subpoena to a deposition. There's legal repercussions to that. So if I got subpoenaed to a deposition, I can't just say, sorry, I'm not going to go. I'm declining it. And then, like you said, so since she can't get out of it, she chooses to just drop the lawsuit altogether. That's really far-fetched. And
Right.
we have evidence to the contrary. So I hope this rumor dies.
Right. And then we have here is Desiree Young. Coin News reported, Desiree says, I don't want anything to compromise the ongoing investigation. For these reasons, I have instructed my attorneys to dismiss the civil case. Her explanation, Desiree said, in order for my lawyers to move forward with the case at this point, it would be necessary for them to seek access to the police criminal investigation files. Young said, my lawyers have advised me that the Oregon Public Records Disclosure Law, which I actually looked into, and yes, this is true, does not provide the release of ongoing police investigation files. So she's suing Terri. She's trying to find out where Kyron is in this suit. And In order to do that, she would have to get the court documents from Kyron's missing case. And she can't get that information because it's still an open and ongoing investigation. And they advise her to drop it. Not, I'm dropping this because they're going to mention my Canada trip. What?
I know, it's just crazy. And I would just like to mention that this is something that anybody could go verify by obtaining the legal documents to her civil lawsuit.
Would you like me to put up that civil suit guidelines that she did?
Yeah, sure.
Before we go on to, okay.
Yeah.
I mean to cut you off.
No problem. It's something we can talk about it. I was just going to say, because I don't think this is mentioned in this document, but I know that her lawsuit was what was it called? Dismissed without prejudice. So she could have refiled it once she got the file. It was not dismissed with prejudice like Blink on Crime says. She right. I have read in her own words that it was dismissed with prejudice for a reason. And she is a source of this deposition rumor. That is the source of this rumor here. And I hope we can squash those rumors today. Let me pull this up. So this document that Samantha has here in front of you all, this is from the civil lawsuit between Desiree against Terri back in 2012. And it was dropped in 2013, but 2012, this is November, so months and months earlier, right? Mm-hmm. This order says, I'm pulling it up so I can read it myself. Just a second. Okay, here we go. Sorry, guys. I had the wrong app.
You're all good.
Okay. It says the above caption order, or the above caption matter having come before the court upon plaintiff's motion for a protective order, and the court being fully advised of all relevant circumstances in this matter. Now, therefore, it is hereby ordered that any medical records, including but not limited to mental health records, produced by any party shall be used solely for the purpose of their prosecution or defense of this action and shall not be used for any other purpose. For the purpose of this litigation, said medical records shall be disclosed solely to the following persons, unless additional persons are authorized by the court. So these are the only people that can see these medical records: the court and its officers, counsel for any party, the paralegals and clerical personnel who are engaged in assisting counsel of record in this litigation, and such persons retained and or consulted by counsel of record for any party to furnish technical or expert services and or give testimony and or advise with respect to the subject matter, etc., etc., etc. Basically saying that if they're going to hire an expert witness to testify on their behalf, they can also see these medical records. And then it goes on to go on and say that basically it's a 1, 2, 3 page court ordered, signed by the judge, of how these medical records have to be used and how they have to be sealed and transported. And it is dated November 21st, 2012. So this is already ordered in November 2012. And I guarantee you House went and obtained the medical records before the lawsuit was dropped. Right. If Desiree was so concerned of her medical records being seen by House and Terri, why wouldn't she have dropped it back before this was signed and allowed,
Right. I mean, but they're literally talking about her medical records, how they're allowed to be used, who can see it, and everything else. And like you're saying, he saw it so much earlier, you would think, she would have, if it was because she didn't want anybody to see these documents, to talk about the documents or anything else, she would have done it way, way, way before.
Months and months and months earlier. She dropped the lawsuit in July 2013. This is, again, dated November 21st, 2012. So by that time, that months had gone by. I can't say for certain because honestly, I don't have access to these medical records, but my critical thinking tells me that yes, House obtained them.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me that, even with all of this, it just doesn't make sense that the reason why Desiree would stop that lawsuit was because she was scared everybody was going to see her medical records. It just
Yeah.
doesn't even make sense. It's just another long stretch, another thing to let's just pick on Desiree. She had medical issues. Everybody has medical issues. We all have medical issues. Why is this, kidney medical issues such a big thing? Why is it turned into like a monster that is got some kind of I don't know, just attachment to her that proves that something else is going on. There's a secret somewhere that she doesn't want, Desiree doesn't want anybody to know about. It just doesn't make friggin' sense. She wrote a book about her life and everything and put everything in it, and she talks freely about everything, and she probably would tell us even more if she could, but she's still being questioned over ridiculous things.
I will just add that Terri, she spreads these rumors too. I've read her own comments saying that Desiree didn't go for medical care. And I mean, Terri, if you'd like to clear it up, no one's stopping you from talking about it either. Unless you don't want, my thoughts are she doesn't want to delve into the specifics. I don't understand why. If people are dying to know this and they think it's related to Kyron, why not just dispel the rumor for once? Or confirm it. But I don't know.
No, she doesn't want to do any of that. She just wants to like the comment, reassure people to keep talking about it. That's what I see when she talks. She doesn't want to comment and clear things up. She wants to keep them all going because this is her way of controlling the narrative. We've done a live on it. I can't believe how many times we've seen her try to control the narrative. It is ridiculous. I just put up some Blink on Crime stuff. We're not going to talk about Blink on Crime a lot, but the thing is, Kaylia really started noticing all of these rumors and all of these things that everybody's been talking about for so long, all coming from
Blink on Crime.
Yes, all
from
of it.
her saying that I have these sources that tell me this, and people asking her, and she says, well, what I can say is this. I can't say this, but what I can say is this. And then bam, it just goes she doesn't provide any proof either. No proof. It's just take my word for it. And again, I've talked about it. She's not a journalist. She's just a blogger. And I would never do that to you. I would, somebody, I would never sit here and say, just take my word for it. That's why we're here showing these comments. Unfortunately, Blink on Crime started so many of them, so we don't want to go over a ton of them, but these are some ones that talk about it. This comment here is from a commenter that is asking if all these people know that a man took Kyron out of Miss Matthews' classroom, as Blink on Crime likes to go around saying in her comment sections, why didn't Terri say that on Dr. Phil? And she is replying here saying, I've heard Kane say it. He still says SZ, which is suspect 0, which is the man. He still ties suspect 0 to Terri. To my knowledge, Desiree refused to answer the question publicly. I don't know why. I will say that I have independently verified through numerous sources that she is aware of it. In fact, it was the dominant reason she dropped her civil lawsuit, which you will notice nobody asks her about in years either. So, I mean, that's just one comment from Blink on Crime where she says that's the reason she dropped her lawsuit. I mean, Blink on Crime has probably 10 reasons why she thinks Desiree dropped her lawsuit. And it's every one of them is that's the primary reason. So that's the first one.
Yep. And then we got Kim saying all Terri does is lurk. Yeah, she does. She lurks around. I think she watches our group too, honestly. Zane Lilly, it's her way of saying it without saying it. She probably feels she won't be held responsible if she's just liking comments and not commenting on the issue.
Yeah, I see it that way too, because what I was going to say, I forgot to address this about the civil lawsuit and how people doubt the fact that she couldn't get the police file, and that is the reason why she had to drop the lawsuit. I would just like to say that I researched into the Kristen Smart case as well, simultaneously with Kyron, but that case has been solved now after, I think, 25 years, where the suspect that they had in the beginning was arrested 25 years later for this girl's disappearance, and they've never found her body. He's been charged with her murder. And in the beginning, this girl, Kristen Smart's family, tried suing the suspect's family and the suspect, and the same thing happened. And they were, it was unable to proceed because the police would not open the file to them. And the reason that this became relevant years later is because of the fact that the family had presented this lawsuit. The police department did have to go in to their file and kind of like tidy things up and make a record of basically they had a table of contents of everything that they were going to have to open if the court was going to make them give the family this file. Right. And so years and years later, somebody petitioned under a FOIA request to get the police file. And of course, the police denied it. It was still an ongoing and active investigation. But the one thing that they did allow him to get was that table of contents. So he was able to see titles of documents that were really intriguing, like the bloody earring and things like that. So it was like, whoa, he got a little look into other things. But anyway, I just wanted to, I know that's a tangent. I just want to throw that out there because it happens. I mean, I know for sure it happened in Kristen Smart case. So anybody saying it couldn't happen in Desiree's case, I think you should do more research.
Yeah. Here is another one for Blink on Crime. What is this one? Let's see. Actually, that particular lie is a convenience. The meaningful cue is, how can anyone, ESP media interviews, believe a single word either Davidson says, since they read and approve? Would have been enlightening to see Terri's tort defense attorney put both Young on the stand in her suit.
Yep. And she says, I believe that is a very large looming reason why the suit was withdrawn in the first place. So again, that was a very large reason. Was it that, or was it the fact that there's suspect 0 in the picture, you know?
Yep, there's 2.
Exactly. And then she goes on to say both Desiree and Tony were scheduled for their depositions twice and canceled the day before both times. I can't say one way or the other, but again,
yeah, where's she getting that information? Does she have a court clerk telling her everything? I mean, how is she finding out when appointments are for depositions and stuff and that they didn't show?
I think if anybody would have told her that, it would have been Mrs. Terri Horman. Yep.
Yeah, because, they were kind of friends. Terri had an interview with BOC. If you guys don't know, BOC is Blink on Crime. The interview was never shared because, Terri may have said something that later on could have gotten her in trouble with the Kyron Horman disappearance. So it was just not something Blink on Crime wanted to be responsible for, so it was never let out. And then this is a third piece from BOC.
This is years later. This is in 2020, as you can see. And I don't have the comment she's referring to or she's replying to here, but Blink on Crime is saying it is entirely Desiree's versions of event, no independent verifications or corroboration to be found, and moreover, plenty of court records that refute some of it entirely. That said, once again, that individuals must not have even read the book she is reviewing because the book does not say that whatsoever. This is the part I highlighted. Moreover, medical records would show when Desiree Young contracted the STD and the subsequent treatment of the same. It predates Kane's meeting of Terri, and at the time, Desiree Young was on Kane's health insurance. And then she goes on to talk about other stuff, which is irrelevant. But who told her that? And does she have access to Desiree's medical records or not? Moreover, medical records would show when Desiree contracted the STD and subsequent treatment of the same. It predates Kane's meeting of Terri.
And we just went over the fact that nobody but certain people could even see her medical records. So therefore, how does she know what the hell she's talking about? Medical records haven't never been
House could see it, but Terri couldn't. So
right. Yep, doesn't make sense. And I mean, House would like really get in trouble if she did allow Terri to see any of that information.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine as an attorney finding out that your client was like leaking this information out and it's like a super no-no? That was pretty straightforward of how serious they took the medical records in Desiree's civil lawsuit. This next comment, it's also from 2020. And again, somebody must have been asking Blink on Crime about the medical issues, because Blink on Crime replies, I'm not going to get into the specifics on Desiree's self-reported medical issue, except to say what I have already said. Based on documents I have personally reviewed, to include court filings and court orders, it appears that her motivation to give up primary physical custody under the auspices of seeking medical treatment in Canada were so that a judge would sign off on an addendum order terminating child support, and thus explaining his approval that the parties agreed to nobody paying support in the short term. Why, you ask? Because such an action would definitely be considered a deviation under the child support laws in Oregon. His Honor is bound to act in the best interest of the children and in the eyes of the law. And with regards to support enforcements, which falls to the DA in the jurisdiction, by the way, the child has rights to support by both parents. So with one parent having primary physical custody, technically that child has the right to seek support from the non-custodial parent. If she did not have these orders filed, both Greg and Kane could have gone after her to seek support, as Greg did years later. She did not move to Seattle. That was the exchange point, if I remember correctly. Kane's family. To your point, she absolutely could have undergone treatment whereby she could not exercise her visitation, etc. She could have sought a temporary order, sort of like a medical or FMLA leave situation, and adjusted support appropriately, temporarily. I'm confident this was a major reason she withdrew her civil suit after the ruling medical records of all parties would be admissible. That said, I want to be clear.
She said.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. And like we pointed out, it was months and months later. So then she goes on to say, that said, I want to be clear that if Desiree Young gave up custody because she felt incapable of caring for her children at the time and they were in good care with their respective fathers, I applaud her decision over any alternative choice that would end up compromising the kids' care. I do think she was going to respond to questions about it publicly. She should have been honest. If she was going to respond to questions about it publicly, she should have been honest. So it's like she's like being salty and kind of like throwing shade at her. And then she puts this nice, sweet ending, saying, oh, I applaud her. If she really thought is what she needed, that's great. But I do think she should have been honest, because she wasn't. I just don't like the way she does this. And again, it's all just take my word for it.
Yeah, and then
I hate to say this, she's wrong.
I'm confident that this is the major reason why she withdrew. Again, another third reason why she withdrew. Like, what is it? What do you believe why she withdrew? And she's throwing out things like she has privy to like all of this special information and that she knows when she doesn't. Like you said, she was not a journalist. She was just a reporter, and a journalist might be able to get some kind of inside information. But again, her medical records weren't allowed to be shown but to certain people. We proved that showing those court documents.
Yeah. And not only that, but that is absolutely a crazy accusation to make towards the judge that he...
Right.
I mean, that's just crazy. You're going to undermine a judge in the state of Oregon. And I would like to just make a minor correction, just because I don't want it It bothers me. She's not a reporter. She's a freaking blogger. She can't even call herself a reporter. She's just a blogger.
Oh yeah, I was calling her a reporter, blogger, big difference. Where sleuths go to find out information, but sleuths, some are smart enough to try to decipher the information that they're finding, and some of them just believe everything they find. And especially if it fits their narrative, they're going to use it. And that's what we are seeing constantly these days: is, oh, this fits my narrative, I'm going to use it. Oh, wait. But somebody over here says it's not true. Oh, well, I'm going to go ahead and use it. It's okay.
I really hope that by freaking going over all these stupid Blink on Crime comments so often, that people start believing that she's an uncredible source. Can we stop sourcing Blink on Crime for anything? The only reason that I think that she's important is that some of the information must have come directly from Terri, and that I believe is relevant. I don't believe all information comes from Terri at all. I think that's, Blink on Crime's her own person. She's over here blowing smoke up her fans' butts just to keep them, eating out of the palm of her hands from this rumor mill,
But she's not showing any proof whatsoever of anything, any accusation that she says. She just says it and moves forward. She never shows the proof for anything that she says.
Yep. Okay. These next ones,
These are the last ones, you guys, of BOC, and then we'll be done with the BOC stuff.
That's right.
Death by Chocolate. Glad you're here. Zane Lily, everyone. Zane Lily sounds like maybe she just believes everything Terri tells her. Yes, exactly.
I do believe that. Yeah.
Terri second-handedly discrediting BOC. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Death by Chocolate BOC is not credible, in my opinion. It is not the first time. And that's correct. I mean, it's just going over. And for those of you that have just joined, we're very quickly trying to get over these rumors. The fact that Desiree Young went to drug rehab instead of Canada, which we're able to prove because it's not even mentioned in custody hearings in the documents. The fact that she went to Canada for a boyfriend that's never really even been talked about, no name, and now a name's been mentioned here lately, Michael, has ever been mentioned in all of the time that I've been researching. This is just something I feel like was just thrown out there to fit somebody else's story. And then Desiree having an STD and that causing Kyron not to have, or having vision issues, and the STDs mentioned in BOC. Drug rehab that wasn't mentioned in BOC, was it? Did you ever read that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think outwardly, but as you can see here, I think a lot of these rumors started from, or at least kind of festered in these comment sections. So I don't know if I don't know. I don't remember all of the comments I read, but
yeah. And then we're just going over the one big rumor that the civil suit was dropped because Desiree didn't want any of her medical issues to be talked about in Canada or in court. So she dropped it. And, all of her medical information got sent into the court way early before she decided to drop the case. So House has probably already seen that information. Yeah. And it's just really ridiculous to even think that she's going to drop that because she doesn't want people to know that she's got kidney problems. I mean, come on.
We have a couple comments I want to read before we read this comment from Blink on Crime. Zane Lily again, she says, or they say, "This is why I appreciate you too. You always come with the receipts." Thank you so much, Zane. We appreciate that. And that is exactly why it takes a little bit of time for us to research these topics, because we want to be thorough. We don't want to spread more misinformation. We want to stop it from being spread. So thank you for being here.
Because we had the documents, and I kept asking Kaylee, I'm like, is there anything we should be finding to kind of prove what? Not only do we have court documents, which should say everything, but we have to dig. We have to look for the information. Appreciate that comment, by the way.
Lisa says, "Does anybody really know who the person really is behind the name Blink on Crime?" Yes, her name is Christina Shannon Stoy. And if you go Google Christina Shannon Stoy, you'll find a ton of people airing their grievances about how they were treated, how their lives were ruined because of Blink on Crime's bad reporting, and misreporting, and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, if you want to go read more about why she's not credible anyway, you can Google her real name, Shannon Christina Stoy. She was friends with both Terri and Dede, and that was made clear on her website. So,
yeah, because Terri and Dede both commenting inside the Blink on Crime comment section after their interviews.
So these comments, again, from 2020, Blink on Crime is saying, I haven't said what medications Desiree asserts. Privately, I presume, as I have not heard mention of anything other than a non-FDA approved drug, caused her kidney issues. But again, I think many parts of this book were written preemptively. I imagine the reason behind this vague and ambiguous explanation of her quasi into the wilderness is because the truth paints her in a bad light, both from the public perception and from a legal standing point of view with regards to Kyron. I know I am in no danger of losing my Captain Obvious status. In my opinion, you are in no danger of losing your lying pants status, but right. I digress. The next comment says, obviously, I have never commented on my knowledge of this issue specifically, as DY through Morris has chosen to divulge her STD status. I will say this. Yes, Rose, you have been right all along to suspect that Kyron's vision issues and her possible NOS ancillary medical issues could be a result of an STD related condition of his mother during her pregnancy and subsequent labor and delivery. That said, nobody I have ever interviewed who had knowledge of Desiree's condition ever attempted to exploit the information to me.
So there you guys have it. As far as I'm concerned, it's just debunked as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion. I mean, there's court documents that say, like, here's my court records, only X, Y, and Z are able to see my court records or medical records, excuse me. And, you know, it just doesn't even sound when you even say it. Okay, Desiree dropped the civil suit because she didn't want people to know about her medical issues. But here we are talking about her medical issues. Here she is writing in the book about her medical issues. If she didn't want people to know about her medical issues, what the heck, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Right. So if we move on to the next part, I'll kind of explain the backstory of the Canada trip, and then we can go into more of our evidence about, you know,
court
proving the
documents
Canada trip and
up.
debunking what we talked about.
Right.
Desiree's trip to Canada is sadly shrouded in controversy, and although the trip occurred many years before Kyron disappeared, since people don't have all the details that they're not entitled to in the first place, these rumors have spun and spun and spun, and some of them have falsely connected the Canada trip to Kyron's disappearance. And according to Desiree, she has chronic illnesses, including lupus, and decades ago, she took a chemotherapy drug that was improperly prescribed by her doctors. She later learned that the drug attacked her kidneys, her liver, and her joints, and left her with residual kidney damage. And around 2004, she was experiencing chronic kidney infections. She wasn't happy with the care she was receiving from her doctor. And while visiting in Canada, Desiree got a kidney infection, and she met a doctor who said he was committed to finding the root cause of her kidney issues. At that point, she didn't know. She was unhappy with the care, like I said, so she didn't move to Canada right away. She was traveling back and forth for treatment. She eventually made the decision to move to Canada temporarily to continue to seek treatment for those kidneys, and she did not receive a kidney transplant, as I have also seen rumored around. She received a biopsy, and the biopsy is what uncovered her residual kidney damage. And it was at that time that she finally got answers of what she had been going through all this time. So again, although this trip to Canada happened many years before Kyron disappeared, these rumors have spread and they've somehow been connected to Kyron's disappearance. And yeah, so let's go over the evidence and hopefully just never hear the rumors again.
Here we go. This is what you guys all came for. Here are the documents. We're going to put up the first one. I did say earlier, in case nobody heard it, we're going to be talking about the relevant pieces of these court documents, and we'll be sharing the relevant but not sharing the entire documents. There's lots of personal information in those, and they're hundreds of pages long, and we're trying to protect Desiree's personal life as much as possible. We're only going over this right now because it pertains to what we're talking about. It's relevant about these rumors and the things that are being spoken of. And the first thing we're going to be putting up here is Kane and Desiree's, let's see. This is Desiree and Kane stipulated supplement judgment modifying decree, custody and child support. This matter became before the court based upon a stipulation of the parties for entry of the order modifying the judgment of dissolution of marriage previously entered herein. For convenience, the parties will be referred to as mother and father. The stipulation between the parent. You know what? My printer.
Oh, I can take over if you need.
Yeah. My printer's cut some stuff off.
Well, it says the stipulation between the parties is in writing, signed by each, and is made part of this judgment as provided by ORCP 67F. The court received the stipulation and, based upon it, made the following findings. Since entry of the judgment herein, the following substantial changes in circumstances have occurred. A. Custody and parenting time. Mother plans to move out of the country and desires to award primary custody to father. Bam. It doesn't say mother needs to seek drug treatment. Mother needs to anything.
Go see boyfriend.
Nope. Mother desires to move out of the country and awards primary custody to father. And then continuing. B. Child support calculation. In light of the changes in parenting time and the fact that father will now pay for work-related childcare costs, child support needs to be modified. An Oregon child support guideline calculation is attached. The calculation reflects the new parenting time schedule and the fact that father is paying a daycare rate of X per month. The guidelines indicate that mother should be paying approximately X per month to father in child support. The parties have agreed that this sum is unjust and inappropriate because of mother's health condition and the needs of the parties. The court accepts the party agreement that the court should find that the presumption is rebutted pursuant to this Oregon law. For the time being, neither party shall be required to pay child support to each other. Again, here we go. It's because of the mother's ongoing health condition. It doesn't say anything else. It's providing her privacy. It's confirming she moved out of the country and that she's experiencing a health condition, so much so that the court agrees that it was unjust that she would have to pay child support to Kane.
And Kane's acknowledging this in this hearing. Mm-hmm. This is why they go to court, you guys. Kane is acknowledging the fact that her health issues are not good. They're, Desiree's not going to have to pay child support. Kane's not having to pay child support. Desiree's giving Kyron to Kane because that's what she needs to do, because she believes she can't do the best parenting possible because, it was mentioned things like she was worried she was going to fall over and collapse or something while she was taking care of the boys. Or what if there was a medical emergency and it happened in front of one of the boys? She was just really feeling. And to me, that is a great mom. That is a great mom. Like, how hard is it for a mom to say, here, you have to take him because I can't do this right now after she's been raising babies, That's crazy.
Exactly.
to give up your kids because your health issues are so bad.
Yeah. And again, it just, like, I agree with you. It just shows that she was putting Kyron and her son Q first.
Right.
It goes on to a little bit further. We're going to skip to number 1 here, where it says custody and parenting time. The parties shall continue to share joint legal custody with primary physical custody of Kyron awarded to father. Mother shall have parenting time with Kyron 1 weekend per month. Father agrees to deliver Kyron to Seattle on the weekends. The parties agree to be mother's parenting time. So they're not setting a rule here. They say on whatever the parties agree, 1 weekend per month, they can go up and see each other. And then, yeah, so we just wanted to show Kane's first because that was the first in succession. He filed first.
And then
or they
I
filed
have a
with
video
Kane first. And it's, again, I feel like if you were going for primary custody of your son, you wouldn't lie on a legal document. You would be forthcoming, especially if it was related to a boyfriend or a drug treatment.
Well, I just think that it's just huge that her health issues are acknowledged and she doesn't even have to pay child support because of it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you can't just go into court and say this, and this. I mean, they must have either agreed to it or she may have had to submit something. And I didn't see anything submitted to the court about her health issues. So that tells me that Kane must have like agreed, hey, yeah, this is really going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, otherwise, if they were fighting back and forth, then she probably would have had to give the court, you know, her medical information and turn it in to prove, yes, this is really going on. And then in 2010, Oregon Live sat down with Kane and Desiree, and one of the reporters wanted to ask them about their child custody issues. So I'm going to go ahead and play that.
Was curious about your parenting schedule. How does that work? Do you guys have a structured schedule, or do you have? Is it more like?
Yeah, it's
I need him for a few weeks, or you know.
Well, so we work that out. So there's a parenting plan in place, and we deviate it whenever we feel that we need to. So if it's every other weekend, we split the holidays, and if something comes up where, hey, you know, I really would like to try to have him for Thanksgiving because I've got my relatives from Norway coming over, then we figure it out. We literally sit down and go
every other weekend. I'm sorry, is he with you or
he's with me full time and with her every other weekend, and then we split the holidays
days off of school,
and extra holidays, and we split the summer in half.
Yeah, spring break, Christmas break, all that stuff.
And then if there are things that come up, we work it out.
Split the summer in half. He goes a month one place, or
no,
he goes a month, 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
Wow. Yeah,
we just started doing that though.
Yeah, we were doing every 2 weeks.
He was too young to do it before.
Yeah, they say there's an age formula for how that.
Yeah, we were doing every 2 weeks. We were rotating in the summers
but
up
you were
until
up to
last
6
year.
weeks at a time in the summer. That must have been wonderful for both of you.
It was good for us, and I think you know, one of the situations we talked about was just him adjusting to it. He had a little bit of an adjustment, you know, some adjustment issues last year. Nothing major, but just 7-year-old, you know, hey, I was here for 6 weeks. I really want to stay there. Well, it's, you know, it's our turn for 6 weeks, and making the adjustment back.
You don't get to make the choice. It's our choice.
Yeah. So again, you know how it goes. That's what we kind of ran into that for the first time last year.
Yeah.
So we had to, you know, we figured that out.
But 6 weeks is a long time too.
And
were you on like phone contact with him daily, or how does that
I
work?
tried to call once or twice a week. We try to give each other enough space so that, you know, he can absorb and be where he's at, but also just touch base. Hey, you know, thinking about you, how you doing, having fun, just check in, just to hear the voice, and then kind of back to status quo for a little while.
Yeah, so I mean, as you guys can hear in that, you know, Desiree and Kane are talking about Desiree seeing Kyron, every other week, not once a month like the judge said in their parenting plan. They're co-parenting together. They're agreeing upon things. They're not this couple that are bickering back and forth. Like I've seen many parents, you know, if they're not getting along and stuff, they're not giving, if they want to be assholes, they're not giving any extra time. You know, here's Kane. Like,
Right.
here, let's do every other week. Once a month seems a little bit too, you know, I actually agree that once a month, that's crazy. For a mother to see their child, I've never really heard of that before. I usually hear once a week or every other week.
Right. And, you know, it's important to point out that she never lost custody of him. She had joint custody of him the entire time. Kane had primary custody of Kyron. And yeah, they were co-parenting. This video of them speaking about it is proof that it was copacetic. They were working it out. And when Kyron was getting older and older and older, they were adjusting it as age appropriately as they can in the best decision for Kyron. They were putting Kyron's developmental awareness and capacity first.
Right. You know, and it's also mentioned in there that they decide that they're going to go into the summer before Kyron disappeared. They did their very first time 6 week on, 6 week off, back and forth thing. And that was actually the same summer that we hear a lot of people talking about. Kyron was doing a lot of strange things. You know, he was wetting the bed. He was, you know, all of this other stuff. And if you think about it, it makes sense. He went from seeing mom every other week to being at mom's house for 6 weeks, then going to dad's house for 6 weeks, back to mom's house for 6 weeks, back to dad's for 6 weeks. And you just heard Kane say, you know, except for the problem that we'd have that he didn't really want to leave after 6 weeks, and we'd have to tell him, hey, buddy, you know, now it's my turn to have you for 6 weeks. He sounded like maybe Kyron was a little bit confused. Or, you know, maybe he did like it at his mom's more than he liked being at his dad's. Or maybe he liked being at his dad's better than his mom. We don't know. But obviously, Kyron was having a little bit of issues or something going on there. And that's when a lot of people noticed changes in Kyron was right before that school year in the beginning of that school year. So these could have been the reasons why he was having an issue.
Yeah, it was big changes. He was going through a lot of big changes for a 6 or 7-year-old. He was 6 in the summer before, you know, and then they go on to kind of elaborate that even before that, it was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. That's still a lot of time. They were still spending a good amount of time in the summer. I hate to hear these rumors of people saying Desiree abandoned Kyron. That is not true. She was there for him, and she's made it abundantly clear that she would call him all the time, talk to him on the phone too. She talked to him about his science project before the day of the science fair and things like that. So,
I mean, they were sharing pictures back and forth. Terry's even admitted to that. They, you know, would take this little SIM card and send it back and forth with pictures on it. Desiree was an involved mother. She wanted to know what was going on.
Gina writes here, sorry to cut you off, but Gina makes a great point. It would be great if more separated parents could work together as well as Kane and Desiree did. And I agree with that completely. When I think of this working out as a co-parenting agreement, it sounds like a great, like what any separated parent should hope for, working and compromising and doing what is best for the kid.
Right. I mean, because even you see in the custody thing, like Kane could have been an ass and been like, no way, man. I don't care what's going on with her medical problems. She owes me child support. If I'm going to be taking care of him all the time and I'm going to be paying for child care and stuff because I've got to work, like, you're going to have to, you know, pay me some money. And then he mentions child care, which I also like to bring up. I forgot. He mentions child care. He's paying for childcare for Kyron. But here you have Terri constantly saying, like, I'm home alone with Kyron, the baby, all the time, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this was kind of like early on. So what was Terri doing? I mean, Kyron was in daycare a lot. She wasn't just the sole care provider for Kyron and then the baby when she came. It wasn't always like that. That started to happen after the baby was born because I believe she had like a job at a restaurant once. You know, she was doing part-time substitute teaching or something like that in Hillsboro. But, you know, she didn't take care of both of those babies all day, every day by herself. And even after the baby was born, Kane didn't work full time at his job. He worked a few hours a day, came home and was home for the rest of the day, and worked from home for the rest of the day, anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 4 times a week, he said.
Yeah, he had a work from home office way before COVID made it like the norm. That's something that was normal in their household.
And then, there was a lot of talk too before about the restraining order that Desiree put on.
Yes, we figured, you know what? We're talking about legal documents. Let's address this rumor and squash it as well. There's a rumor that Desiree got a restraining order against Kane when they were going through their divorce before Kyron was born. And I mean, anybody that's watching, put yourself in those shoes, okay? You are pregnant, you believe your spouse is cheating on you, and you're going through a divorce over it, I think that was a highly emotional situation. Okay, so I want us to read these documents in that state of mind that, like, okay, what would I do if I was in those shoes? This document here is between Desiree and Kane. As you say, it's Desiree filing it against Kane. And let me get it pulled up here.
And Death by Chocolate, I'm so sorry to hear that you have lupus. I mean, we talked about Desiree having lupus. Have you ever had to do like any chemo treatments or anything like that for yours? I'm just curious because that's what Desiree said she had to do for hers.
Okay, so this is what we have on the screen. It's the petitioner's affidavit in support of ex parte motion for and temporary mutual property restraining order. So I want you to take note. It says mutual, okay? This is not against Kane. It says, I, Desiree, being first duly sworn, depose and say, I am the petitioner herein. My husband, Kane, is the respondent. That contemporaneous with the filing of this motion for a mutual property restraining order, I am filing a petition to dissolve our marriage. I am concerned that without a restraining order, respondent may pledge personal assets to secure his obligation. I would ask that during this pendency of these proceedings, both parties are restrained and enjoined from selling, wasting, encumbering, secreting, or otherwise making unavailable to the processes of this court any of our real and personal property. So she basically is saying neither of us can do anything until we work this out. Okay. I'm afraid that Kane might do it. So we both are not going to do these things until our marriage is dissolved. And it goes on to say that on page 2, it says, I recognize this order is mutual and also applies to me. So nothing about, it's not an actual restraining order keeping Kane away from Desiree. It's a restraining or protection order of their assets in their marriage. And then,
I mean, what did the rumor say that the restraining order was for? Just against Kane for, like, I've heard, like, she put a restraining order against him because he was violent. I've, like, heard several different things.
I read when I was trying to research this just recently, like earlier today and yesterday, I was reading people commenting saying that that Desiree wanted to keep Kane away from her. So, I mean, it sounded to me like they were confusing this protective order, a mutual one, as a like domestic violence restraining order or something like that.
I've heard that too.
So it's not that kind of restraining order. It's a totally separate kind. And then let's see. Can you go to the page before that? That's the second page.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did it send it to you that way? No, it didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
This is the second one that is in their divorce from way back before Kyron was born. It says, affidavit in support of temporary protective order of restraint. I, Desiree, duly sworn, do hereby depose and say I am the petitioner in the above entitled cause. With respect to each minor child subject to this proceeding, the child's present address, the places where the child has lived within the last 5 years, and the name of the present addresses of the persons with whom the child has lived during the following period are as follows. So it basically is has Desiree's son Q, and it says unnamed baby boy because or unborn baby boy because Kyron had not been born by this point yet.
Right.
On the following page, it continues. It says petitioner says A, has not participated as a party witness or in any other capacity in any other litigation concerning a custody of a child in a court of this or any other state, has no information of any proceeding concerning the children pending in a court of this or any other state, does not know any person not a party to this proceeding who has physical custody or claims to have custody or visitation, blah, 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 blah. So if we skip down to number 3, I'm just going to read that part because that's the relevant. It says, I'm concerned that if not restrained, my husband, Cain, may remove our children from their residence or otherwise interfere with their daily schedule. I make this affidavit in support of my motion to preserve the status quo and for a temporary protective order of restraint.
Yep.
So
It's not
it
got
sounds
nothing
to me,
to do with domestic violence, that's for sure.
I mean, it sounds to me like she's saying, I want to protect the status quo and I don't want Cain to be able to remove the children until everything and we settle a custody arrangement. Kyron had not been born yet. This was actually like a week before Kyron was born. So Desiree also has said that this was the time where she was going in and out of preterm labor because of the STD that she was experiencing and all that. So it was a highly stressful time. And she was probably having to leave her kids in the care of other people. And she probably, I mean, I'm just speculating if I was in that position, I would want to make sure my kids could not be removed from the status quo or anything, because technically parents, there's no such thing as parental like kidnapping. As you can see between Cain and Terri, Cain was able to take their daughter right away and Terri couldn't do anything about it. So she was trying to preemptively protect the kids from being able to have their status quos disrupted based on the way they've lived their lives together, you know?
While you were going over that, I'm just like sitting here thinking, now when was this filed again? This was like September, the year before Kyron was born, right?
No, this was actually, it says September 5th, 2002.
Okay.
But it was, she signed it the 19th day of August, 2002. So 3 weeks before Kyron was born, this document was signed.
And it's mentioning that she has an STD in this document?
No, I'm just saying because that's that's what she has said, you know, she's clarified that later on that was the time frame where she had the STD and it caused her to go into preterm labor and have to go into the hospital and be monitored and stuff like that.
Wow. Well, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, like, this STD caused her to go into preterm labor, and Cain was cheating on her with Terri, and Cain's the one who gave her this STD. So I'm just like, if he's been faithful up until when he got together with Terri, is Terri the one that gave Cain the STD, that gave Desiree? I mean, like, the timeline is all I'm saying. Without trying to spread a rumor, seriously trying to, like, the timeline itself is just, whoa. Yeah, that's crazy. Did I mute you?
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I was like, wait a minute. I think I accidentally muted you when I was trying to get rid of the other stuff. But yeah, I don't know what you said to that, and I'm sorry if it was so shocking. But yeah, the timeline. Look at the timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. It's very interesting, peculiar timing.
We can all laugh about it. And then We're gonna just okay. So we got Death by Chocolate. Oh, things I have not had to yet, and I'm glad for that. I'm glad you haven't had to take any of that chemo junk. It's awful, but I have had a few close calls. My lungs are impacted more. Well, I'm very sorry, and we'll just send some prayers out your way, just to get healthy and heal fast. Another typical statement in divorces. Yes. Yeah, I mean, so there's, another rumor about this domestic violence stuff going on in the house and that she had to do a restraining order. No, this was just all part of the divorce proceedings and stuff. And next, we're going to jump into the divorce and custody and the fees and costs with Desiree's ex, Craig, which we also find really important to share because it's a lot like Kane's. And then some of it isn't. So let me get up that first part here.
Yeah, we have a lot more of these documents. There's a lot more because, like we talked about, Kane and Desiree seem to get along and they co-parented fine. So Desiree this didn't have to happen with Kane and Desiree because they were working it out. They had an agreement together outside of the court. And that is the first page there with Greg. And it is, I find it funny. It really is a fill in the blank. And basically it's going over here. This is filed in July 2004. It's saying respondent wants to award the primary custody of the child to Gregory. And then we can go to the next page. This says mother was It says mother was diagnosed with kidney failure, which necessitated a relocation to Canada and transfer of custody. Along with her very serious health condition, her financial situation became despair, in large part because of Blank's refusal to refer her to a specialist. As a result, she incurred significant fees, eventually forcing her to sell her house. A financial situation was insignificant in comparison to her potentially fatal health condition. She believed her options were to either stay in Oregon, where she would be unable to maintain her health and most likely not be able to effectively provide parenting for Q, or relocate to Canada. She elected to pursue treatment and temporarily relocate to Canada for treatment. Following treatment in Canada, her condition improved markedly. She was able to return to the United States in October of 2004. She returned to Medford, Oregon in order to rely on the assistance of her immediate family. The improvement in her health and overall situation is dramatic. Although she still requires treatment that will likely be long-term, her health is now stable. Her ability to parent has returned along with her health. So I think I might have, I know I looked at these, but I think I might have told you they were in the wrong order. So that's my bad. But this is in Desiree's point of view. This is Desiree filing to the court, explaining her position. This says factual background. Mother, age 34, father, age 37, were married in October 1993 and later divorced pursuant to a dissolution decree and judgment dated October 30th, 1996. They have one child together, age X. Q is the subject of this proceeding. In addition to Q, mother has a 4-year-old son named Kyron by her second husband, Kyron Horman. Per the terms of the dissolution decree, mother was awarded full legal custody of Q. Father was awarded parenting time each week from Thursday to Saturday. Additionally, father was awarded 1 week during the summer vacation. This custody and parenting time arrangement continued until mid-2003. At that time, mother was diagnosed with kidney failure. Her condition was frustrated by, there we go. It continues on. I think I read that part. Oh, actually, no, it's actually a different one, huh? She was diagnosed with kidney failure. Her condition was frustrated by Blank's absolute refusal to refer mother to a specialist. Her untreated condition continued to worsen with significant and dramatic degeneration in her health. She was unable to maintain her weight. Additionally, characteristics of patients with kidney failure, her skin, hair, and nails took an unnatural and unhealthy appearance. Her condition severely affected her energy and caused hormonal problems, resulting in depression. In short, her condition declined to the point where losing her life was a very real possibility, and providing care for Q was impossible. Through a source unrelated to blank, she learned that she could receive successful treatment in Canada. She immediately began traveling to Canada to seek treatment. None of the services were covered by her insurance, and she was forced to pay for the treatments with credit cards and cash advances. The resulting debt devastated her finances, forcing her to sell her Portland area residence. It became clear that the only way that she would be able to continue her treatments, and have reasonable visitation with Q during the holiday season. I think that's the next one. Yes. Respondent was required to pay me guideline child support in the amount of, I should have blocked that out, but whatever. In approximately March 2004, I was diagnosed with kidney failure caused by inappropriate administered medication. In addition to my very serious medical condition, my financial situations also began to degrade due to significant difficulties with my then care provider blank. My physical and financial situation became desperate. I was forced to sell my house in Beaverton and began to acquire significant medical debt. Blank ceased to be a viable option, and I was forced to seek an alternative treatment program. I then learned that my condition could effectively be treated in Canada. Because I believed it was my only option, I reluctantly made plans to temporarily move solely for the purpose of treating my kidney condition. On August 28th, 2004, I officially moved to Canada. Prior to moving, my ex-husband required me to enter into an agreement signing over custody of Q to him. At the time, he indicated that relinquishing custody was necessary because he believed my residency in Canada would be a problem for Q if I were to pass away. I now understand that his statement to me was untrue. I signed the relinquishment of custody on July 8th, 2004, with the understanding that the agreement would be temporary and the respondent would sign a supplemental judgment returning Q to me upon my return to the United States. Both respondent and I contemplated that upon my recovery and return, we would again follow the original custody arrangement ordered in the dissolution decree and judgment. I returned to the United States on October 29th, 2004. Because I had expended all of my resources and medical bills, including incurring almost X in unreimbursed medical bills while in Canada, I was forced to move to Medford, Oregon. I'd like to pause here because another rumor is, how did she qualify for socialized medicine? She didn't. She was paying all of this out of pocket and paid a lot to do so. I blanked out the amount, but it's probably a figure that we've all heard. And this is probably exactly where that figure came from. But for privacy, I blocked it out.
Oh, sorry.
She was forced to move to Medford, Oregon probably the next page probably wasn't relevant enough to keep going, but we all know that she had to move to Medford because she needed a safe, stable place to reestablish after that. That was a really, really challenging time in her life.
And they also really make it sound like she was gone for forever and a day when she left, but she was only gone for 2 months. From August to October, 2 months. She was living in Canada. She went for 2 months.
Yep. And she was, just like she said, she was traveling back and forth and planning on going because she knew that in the long run, that's probably what she knew, that she wanted to make sure she was healthy. And if she wasn't getting the right care here in Oregon, I don't blame her one bit. If she felt like the doctor that helped her there gave her answers and listened to her and actually gave her a care plan that was going to help her feel better and not live in that unhealthy state that she had described herself living in, then that's amazing.
Right. Yeah, it is. And I mean, she was able to get the treatment, and look at her now. She looks healthy as healthy can be. She may still be suffering with maybe some other kinds of things with her medical. She may have to take medicine or maybe not take medicine to just keep things good and healthy. But I mean, like, she looks great now. And here again in this document, you have the court acknowledging her medical treatment. You have Gregory, Q's dad, Kyron's stepbrother's father, acknowledging that she has a medical condition. And it even says in here that her life is in danger. Like, they're saying, like, we're going to do this because we're afraid that, you know, she could die while she's in Canada. And that's why we want to make sure this gets done. That's what Gregory's saying, even though Desiree seems to think that she was being tricked a little bit. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
again,
like
you
I
just have
said,
it in court documents.
it sounds like, you know, Kane and her were able to have a more amicable co-parenting relationship than her and her other ex-husband, Greg. And that's unfortunate. And that this is the result of that, you know? That's, in my opinion, why we even have all of this proof that she went to Canada for the kidneys, because they didn't get along. They didn't see eye to eye, and they were having to have a third party come mitigate for them, the court.
Right. And then there's even more. We're going to go on to the petitioner's declaration in support of ex parte motion for an order to show cause, which is
Okay.
this one.
Yes. This is filed after she's returned. This is October 2006. She says, I, Desiree, state as follows. I am the petitioner in the above case. Gregory is the respondent. I make this declaration in support of my motion to show cause about modification of custody, parenting plan, support, and attorney fees. Respondent and I have one child, Q, born 1994. So remember, he was 10 when she went to Canada. Okay, he was
right.
an older,
and she'd already raised him that entire time before she gave him up.
Yes, I mean, it said Greg had 1 week in the summer, and yeah, he saw him on the weekends, but it does say he chose not to. But anyway, respondent and I were divorced pursuant to a dissolution decree and judgment signed on October 30th, 1996. Pursuant to the terms of the dissolution decree and judgment, I was awarded full legal custody of Q, subject to the respondent's parenting time, which occurred every week beginning on Thursday morning at 7:30 and ended on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. We also agreed that we would have one complete week with Q during the summer, and that he would, let me get to page 2. Oh, thank you for showing that one. So I know exactly which one it is. I blanked out a bunch of unnecessary stuff that is not relevant. So this here says petitioner is asking the court to grant her sole legal and physical custody of the child, even though her health problems are ongoing and could deteriorate severely at any given time, possibly resulting in another change of custody that would again uproot the child. So actually, this is, sorry guys that it's out of order. I tried to tell her it was the order, but obviously I didn't do a good enough job. But this is the
I was reading it and I thought, should this one be first? I don't know. We're going to do it this
Who knows?
way. That was
It
just
doesn't
how the
matter.
emails work, right?
Yep.
It doesn't.
This is from Greg's perspective. It says at the bottom, respondent's hearing motion to modify custody. So he's saying the petitioner is asking the court to grant her sole legal custody and physical custody of their son Q, even though her health problems are ongoing and could deteriorate severely at any given possible time, resulting in another change of custody that would again uproot the child. So he's acknowledging that she has chronic health issues.
Exactly. And they both know it. Both of these men in her life, both of her exes are, and they've been with her, they've seen her, they have to do drop off and pickups with the boys. They know her health is deteriorating. They're not going to just go into court and just say it. I mean, we're talking about custody of a child. They're not mentioning that she's in drug rehab. They're not mentioning that she has a boyfriend. They're not, mentioning anything other than the fact that she has a ongoing medical condition that is pretty much at this point killing her.
Yeah, it says, as we go on to the next unblanked part, it says petitioner will argue that her capacity to properly take care of the child has improved. The evidence in this case will show that that is not the case. Petitioner's health concerns, which prompted the most recent modification of custody, have not been resolved and will likely present a problem for the petitioner for years to come. If he was trying to secure sole custody, why wouldn't he add all those dirty details? He didn't like Desiree.
Right.
He was trying to prevent her from having the custody time she wanted. In fact, we'll get to this, but she came to him and tried to work it out, a co-parenting agreement outside of the court, just like with her and Kane, and he didn't go for it. So that's in these records. The next page says hearing memorandum. We'll just continue wherever this picks up from. It says, in Canada, I was to move there and qualify for socialized medicine. Though she now sees her decision as a horrible mistake, she temporarily relocated to Canada on August 28, 2004. Prior to her move, father required her to execute a stipulation to modify the parenting time. She reluctantly did so on or about July 8th, 2004. Father indicated that the judgment would be necessary to ensure his ability to take control of Q in the event that mother were to pass away in Canada. The stipulated judgment operated to award father full legal custody and granted mother parenting time in Seattle, Washington once per month, with the parties equally sharing holiday time. Child support was rebutted to zero in consideration of mother's ongoing medical issues. Mother signed the judgment without the assistance of counsel and pursuant to an oral agreement that the stipulation to modify would be temporary, and the father would be willing to relinquish custody back to her upon her return to the States. Father has since refused to abide by the terms of this oral agreement, and mother is aware that the court is unlikely to assist in its enforcement. Upon mother's relocation to Canada, her condition improved almost immediately. By October 2004, she was able to return to the United States in much better health. She returned to Medford rather than Portland for several reasons. 1, her employer was no longer available in Portland. 2, her parents were available to help her reestablish her life after her illness. And 3, she believed that it would be in Q's best interest to live in Medford. Sorry, guys. Mother has successfully reestablished her life following her illness. After living with her parents for approximately 1 year, she was able to move out, first renting a room and later moving in with her longtime boyfriend, Anthony Young, a Medford detective. She is employed by Lithia Motors as an accountant.
So they mention Tony, the Medford boyfriend. No other boyfriends mentioned, like the rumors that she went up to Canada to visit with a boyfriend. I really believe that Gregory would have mentioned that. Again, she's not paying any child support to Gregory either. So both men have agreed in court. Judge has said, okay, she's not paying any child support to either father. Both fathers are acknowledging the fact that she's got all of these medical bills and stuff, and they find it in the wrong to even try charging her. I mean, even Gregory, the person who's like really coming after her, is really like, okay, she doesn't have to pay child support. To me, this is just so telling because, you know, everybody wants to keep talking about her medical conditions and how they didn't exist or that there's an exaggeration or whatever. But here you've got 2 kids, you got a mother and 2 fathers, and you got a judge saying no child support and 2 fathers agreeing with it.
Yep. And the court documents say it over and over. It's evidence, this is much more evidence than any other rumor. So please stop spreading those rumors. If you have absolutely zero evidence, then just stop. There's so much evidence to prove the contrary. The next one here is I don't have the title, but this is from Greg to Desiree. It says, of the child subject to petitioner's parenting time, petitioner was to have parenting time 1 weekend per month due to petitioner's health, as well as the several hours of driving time between the parties due to petitioner's choice to relocate to Canada for healthcare reasons. Child support was calculated pursuant to Oregon child support guidelines, but the parties agreed to downward deviation to 0 in consideration of petitioner's health and financial concerns. For reasons unknown to respondent, petitioner returned from Canada within a few months. Petitioner relocated to Medford, Oregon, where she currently lives and has been living since her return from Canada. To the best of respondent's knowledge, petitioner's health concerns are ongoing. He had every opportunity to bring up any one of these rumors.
Yep.
But
I
it
mean, if
never
you're
gets
trying
brought
to
up.
get
It
a
just keeps
child,
coming
you're
up, the
going-
ongoing health concerns and the fact that she had to go to Canada for treatment.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in a custody thing and I think that the person I'm going to custody battle with over my child is going to drug treatment or drug rehab or visiting a boyfriend, I'm definitely going to be pointing that out, because a boyfriend, if you're just traveling to Canada to see a boyfriend, that just really is telling about a mother that would give up her child for a boyfriend. And then, drug rehab, you've got the concerns of relapsing and everything else later down the road. And definitely not going to be making agreements with her like, when you get back, we'll reverse this situation, even though it didn't end up happening. And then the next court document we have is, let's see what this one. This is again between Gregory and Desiree, and it's the respondent's hearing motion to modify custody, parenting time, and support. Did I mute you, Kaylee? What is going on here? You are. You're mute. Oh, you muted yourself.
Maybe I did. I'm not sure. I'm trying to find that one so I can catch up with you on here.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Motion to modify custody, parenting time, and support. The parties are the divorced parents of one minor child named Q. Born blank. The parties discovered in 1996. The pursuant to the general judgment and dissolution of marriage, petitioner was awarded sole legal and physical custody of the child, subject to respondent's reasonable. What is that? I gotta fix my printer. Parenting time. Respondent was also ordered in to pay child support pursuant in the Oregon child support guidelines. In July 2004, the parties executed a stipulated supplemental judgment regarding custody, parenting time, and support, which modified the terms of the original decree. The reason for the modification was petitioner's inability to properly care for the child due to severe health problems involving her kidneys, as well as related financial difficulties. Under the stipulation supplemental judgment, respondent was awarded sole legal and physical custody.
Yep, there you go. That even says it right there, the kidney issues again. So as you can see, before you read that, I just want to point out, you don't have to go back or anything, but this document was filed in April 2007. So I may note that one of the documents I read was from 2006. Like I said, this was a back and forth ongoing thing that lasted a long time.
Right, with Gregory.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is the child support calculation. The child support worksheet on which the support amount was calculated to label exhibit blank, the attached to the incorporated in this judgment, or the support awarded those doesn't matter, down to the checkpoint. The support amount presumed correct under the guidelines set out by Oregon administrative rules is blank. The support awarded deviates from this amount because this court finds the application of the formula would be unjust or inappropriate in this case, because petitioner's ongoing health problems have resulted in her inability to let's say this person's handwriting, inability to meet this obligation. The parties agree that no support should be paid for the time being. Again, we've got the man, like, no support here, you guys. I just think that these guys they really knew that Desiree was really sick and they needed her to take care of her health. Their boys might have been losing their mother at this point.
Yep. And also, I would just like to point out again how Blink on Crime undermined the judge, saying that the judge did this for some reason. Yet these are two separate cases in a court, right? They're filed months apart, and both of the fathers of Desiree's children are the ones that are saying this. He wrote it in his own handwriting. So how is Blink on Crime going to sit here and undermine the judge when
Right.
he had nothing to do with that decision?
Right. And then this is Exhibit 1, Parenting Plan, Custody and Parenting Time. Petitioner has moved out of the country and desires to award primary custody to respondent. This is Desiree giving up her son because she's sick. The parties agree that respondent shall have sole custody of the child and that petitioner shall have parenting time with Q 1 weekend per month. Respondent agrees to allow Q to travel with Kyron Horman and his son, Kyron Horman, Q, half-brother, to Seattle, Washington 1 weekend per month as agreed upon by the parties. The parties agree that such weekend shall be petitioner's parenting time. Unless otherwise agreed upon by the parties, petitioner parenting time shall end at 6 p.m. on Sunday. Major holidays shall be shared by the parties as they agree. And just wanting to point out once more, even though it's saying she's moving to Canada, she was gone for 2 months. So that in itself being said, she only saw the boys 2, maybe 3 times the entire time she was gone in Canada, and going up there to treat, her medical problems.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And then we have, these are the fees and costs. Which is kind of really important. I'm going to let you go over these. Here is the part 1 of supplemental judgment for attorney fees, cost, and distributions, or blah, blah. Can't speak.
Yes. Okay. So this says this matters before the court based on the petitioners. So this is from Desiree's point of view.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, let's get to
this one.
No, it is that one.
This one.
Actually, no. Wait. Nope. Keep
the first one I had up.
Let's see. I didn't look at your screen. I was reading my iPad.
Let's see, this one.
No.
Or
that. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no. Sorry. I keep jumping the gun. I see petitioners on there, but it's not the right one. Go again to your next one.
Well, this is the second one. This one was the first one.
Well, I don't see it in there. This one was in a separate email that I emailed you.
It may not even be in here. Let me see. Hold on.
Well, what we're about to go over is
this one?
No. Nope, that's like one of the original first ones. Well, essentially what happened was I'll still read some key points from it, even if we don't have it on the screen. We'll post it afterwards too, but
okay.
Essentially what happened was after everything was said and done and Desiree was denied primary custody of Q. She was denied because she couldn't show a significant change in circumstances. Her health was still chronically ill. And also because her son Q had already established ties in Portland by that time. Because again, this court battle went on until 2007. So he had already established some ties with his community. So that's ultimately why Desiree was declined. But she still had joint custody with parenting time with Q. And the reason that this is important that we're talking about this is because she went and she tried to get her attorney fees covered by Greg. And the reason why that she writes in this is that she says, I tried to settle this out of court before we even had to do any of this. And because you didn't want to settle with me, you dragged on this whole court proceeding. And what ended up being the ultimate order and the parenting time was so similar to Desiree's original offer to him that the court ordered Greg to pay a good portion of Desiree's attorney fees because he wasn't arguing in good faith. He was dragging it on, and it ultimately was so close to her original offer out of court that they awarded her part of her fees. And it kind of just goes over that in these documents. It does. In these documents, it does also say that she went to Canada. It says, you know, that there was an oral agreement that the custody would revert, and that custody to Greg would be necessary to ensure his ability to take control of Q in the event that mother should pass away. Mother was unrepresented and believed father's reasoning. Additionally, mother signed the judgment based on father's verbal promise that it would be temporary and father would relinquish custody back to her. Shortly after her move to Canada, her medical condition improved. She returned to the United States in October 2004, and father refused to relinquish custody. Mother filed her motion to modify custody based on the parties' verbal agreement to return custody to the original arrangement, and because she believed it to be in Q's best interest, the father strongly objected to mother's request that custody be modified. Additionally, and most importantly, father opposed mother's request for reasonable parenting time. So not only was he saying, no, you can't have custody, but no, I'm not even going to work with you for your parenting time. She continues, or her attorney continues, early in the case, the mother understood that the facts surrounding the case did not strongly support a modification of custody. As such, she provided an offer to father which allowed him to retain custody in return for a reasonable award of parenting time to her. Mother's offer was conveyed to him on February 14th, 2007. Mother's offer is attached. Though father rejected the offer, ultimately on the day of trial, mother negotiated a more favorable parenting time arrangement than she had originally offered in Exhibit 2. Let's see, let me continue here. Oh yeah, that's the one I was reading right there.
Yeah, I had to click over to the other one because I was being a dork trying to find it in the first caps cut that I made.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as it continues, let me just make sure I read on here.
Have you read all that then?
Yes, I've read all that.
Okay, and then so we should be.
Yes, that's the one I'm on. It says the conduct of the parties in this transaction or occurrences that gave rise to the litigation, including any conduct of a party that was reckless, willful, malicious, in bad faith, or illegal. Mother brought her action based on her improved health and father's original promise to relinquish custody. In essence, mother's temporary illness was the sole cause of father's award of custody. As part of his award of custody, he promised to return Q upon her improved health. Mother's request that the previous oral promise be enforced, though not legally enforceable, it was made in good faith. B, the objective reasonableness of the claims and defenses asserted by the parties. Mother's claim for a change in custody was reasonable. She based her claim on her improved health and ability to properly care for Q, which is a substantial change in circumstances sufficient to revisit custody. Additionally, mother reasonably believed that it was in Q's best interest that she again provide care full time, given the fact that until her illness, she was the custodial parent. Her claim was reasonable. So here she's arguing why her request to a custody change is not unreasonable. It totally makes sense based on her change of circumstances and what was going on at the time. On the next page, it continues.
Which one? Hold on a sec.
Oh, the next one says money award on the bottom of it.
Oh, gotcha. So that's this one.
Oh, not that. There's so many legal documents, guys. No, it's a different one, but that's okay. I'll just keep.
No,
'cause
it's on this one. I just gotta fast forward it.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Here it is. This one? Wait. Why do I have it printed out, but I don't have it on here?
Who knows? But like I said, we'll be posting all these so you guys can read them yourself. But I'll just finish this last part because I think this is the last part of it. It says petitioner is entitled to a portion of her reasonable attorney fees and costs based on these Oregon statutes. The hourly rate charged by the moving counsel is reasonable. The time incurred and the fees involved for this matter were within the range of fees often charged for matters of this type. The respondent extended the proceeding unduly in this case, and the petitioner incurred more attorney fees as a result. Each party made an offer to settle, but the settlement offer made by petitioner well in advance of the hearing was nearly identical to the ultimate settlement. Had the case been settled at an earlier stage, significant costs and preparation for a contested hearing and protracted negotiations would not have been incurred by petitioner. The length of the professional relationship is also relevant to award of attorney fees. Now it is therefore ordered and adjudged, petitioner shall have a judgment against respondent in the amount of X as for attorney fees and $0 as for costs and reimbursements. So she was given part of her attorney fees back because they determined that he was arguing not in good faith, which is a real thing. I mean, bringing frivolous lawsuits can get you more in trouble than it would be worth to do. You know, you're wasting the court's time, and they take that seriously.
Right. I mean, she tried to work this out with him before, they even went to court, and he was just being hard-headed and stubborn about it. So, he ended up having to pay for some of her attorney fees and stuff because of it.
Yep. And that's the last legal document I got that I have, at least in my
We
collection.
have a lot more court documents,
Yes.
just not ones we're going over tonight. We've got others that we're going over in other lives, and we've actually requested to get even more. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages, and it's just taken a while to read through them and get through them. Unfortunately, with my headaches and stuff, it was just something I just couldn't do over this last month. So Kaylia has really been the one dealing with the court documents, highlighting things, finding the information to talk about for this live. But I mean, when it comes right down to it, Desiree went to Canada to take care of medical issues for a couple of months, even though it says moved there. She did. She moved there for a couple of months. She saw the boys while she was there a few times. Both of the fathers knew she had to go. She didn't have to pay any child support. It was acknowledged by the court. It was acknowledged by both fathers that she had these medical issues. It talks about her hair. It talks about her fingernails, the color of her skin. It talks about, she was to the point where they didn't know if she was going to live or die during this time. And it's all in court documents. She's not going up there for drug rehabs, boyfriends, or, it's just ridiculous that those rumors are going around.
Especially because the fact that ultimately, sadly, she was denied full or primary custody of Q because of not being able to prove a significant change in her health, because she's chronically ill. If she was addicted to drugs, how easy would it be to be like, I'm 9 years sober or whatever? You would be able to prove a significant change of circumstances way easier than just she was chronically ill, and she is chronically ill. I mean, she has talked about it and says that I may look pretty on the outside, but inside I have a weak immune system. So
Right.
it's something she's dealt with her whole life.
And, you know, giving up Quinn after raising him for almost 10 years, how hard could that have been?
Yes.
I
She
mean,
must have
this
been in
was
a
way back
really,
before Kyron was born, so she didn't really have Kyron for a long time. But I'm just saying, like, you had your son for 10 years and you're having to do this because of health issues.
that exactly. I feel like that would have been a really stressful time in their lives, especially being the one that like was not sure if you even, if you, you know, I mean, I don't know if anybody can relate to that feeling of what is wrong with me and no doctor can figure it out, right? Like I personally have stuff like that that I've dealt with, and it's taken going to appointment after appointment and writing down a journal of what my symptoms are for people to be like, oh, that's what it is. And it's scary to not know what the hell is going on with you, but you know something is wrong.
Right. And that's kind of like what I've been going through for like the last 6 weeks or so, because I mean, my headache started a couple months ago and I was suffering with the headaches for a while, started getting really super thirsty, going to the bathroom all the time. I'm like, okay, something's just wrong. Something's going on. I'm going to doctor's appointment. I'm messaging the doctor. I'm getting blood work. I'm getting more blood work. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And then, yeah, 6 to 8 weeks later, here I am finding out that I am a diabetic type 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That happens to all of us. My sister, she has MS, and I can't tell you how hard it was for her to get a diagnosis because she's under 30 years old. It was extremely difficult to find a doctor that would listen to her and give her the MRI she needed. She got written off by so many doctors here in Portland. So
wow.
I totally know it's a valid, sad reality that a lot of people that have chronic health issues experience. And I hope anybody that's taken the time to listen to this live, gone over these legal documents, I know they're not the funnest things to look at and talk about, but let's squash this rumor. And if you ever see anybody talking about it again, tell them it's been debunked and there's ample evidence of debunking whatever rumors they're saying about it.
Right.
Because we have all this evidence. I mean, how many times was Canada for kidneys brought up? I mean, over
Right.
20, 30, 40, I don't know, a lot.
A lot. Yeah, it's really overwhelming to just know that Desiree's having to deal with all of the rumors and stuff too. I don't know how she does it. She's just so strong. I mean, even Kane and the rumors that go around about him being mean, or, you know, was he a bully to the women or whatever. It's just, you know, you don't start rumors about parents and a child missing case,
Yeah,
you know,
it's just one of those
or
like
attack them.
everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but you're not entitled to spread baseless rumors about somebody. And especially it's very distasteful to do so about people that have lost somebody so close to them and have no closure after 13 years still.
Yeah, I can't wait to go over more court documents. We have a lot, and I'm really super excited for our next lives to come up. If you guys have any information regarding Kyron and his disappearance, please call the tip line at 503-988-0560. No tip is too small. Say a prayer during the holidays for Kyron's parents. You know, they're going through a lot right now. It cannot be easy to have Thanksgiving without Kyron, to have Christmas without Kyron. You know, they're opening up gifts or being at the table saying what they're thankful for. You know, I'm really thankful for all of you guys being here and joining us. We really appreciate everybody that comes to the show to take a listen, even the people that come and listen to the lives afterwards. And I'd just like to point out, something's going on with our Facebook page. We don't know what it is. The rhythm of our Facebook has gotten really bad. I'm constantly hearing from people like, I didn't get the notice, or I didn't see the Facebook post that you posted about your live. Oh, I didn't see your Facebook post about this either. I didn't see your, I don't know what's going on, but people aren't seeing it. In your notifications, if we have ever like did that at everyone and tagged everyone in our Facebook group and you went to your notifications and was like, okay, I just don't want this notification, you might want to reverse it. We're not going to be using the @everyone anymore. If you reverse it, you're probably going to see our information more in Facebook, but the rhythm is all off in there. I just wanted to throw it out there. And these documents are going to be shared. The relevant documents are going to be shared in our Facebook group, in the community. We're not going to be giving out a bunch of, private information, letting hundreds of pieces of documents, pages go out there into the public. I already feel a little bit like we're sharing too much information about Desiree, but what we're really trying to do is help Desiree and, help clear up these rumors and these attacks on her, because they're just god awful and she doesn't need that right now. She's already going through enough.
Yep, exactly. And she doesn't owe anybody an explanation at all. And this is just our way as people who try to verify and get facts. These are the facts that we're bringing to the table. So again, just please squash that rumor. It's not true, or all those rumors. None of them are true as far as I am aware. And yeah, thanks for joining. And we're back into those. I think you'll be interested to tag along on our next live as well with some more interesting legal documents you might not have ever even thought about before.
Oh my God, yeah. It's crazy, guys. Thank you all for being here. Yes, say a prayer for the holidays. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope everybody's having a wonderful time out shopping for their loved ones. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. You never know who's going to be around tomorrow. So hug and love and kiss the people that are in your life. If you haven't heard from somebody in a long time, but you think about them, pick up the phone, give them a ring, reach out to your loved ones. You never know. It's the holiday time. It's a season for being thankful, being grateful, and, family time. I'm from Texas, and that's what you do. You have your family time. You love your family. We're already done Christmas shopping. Kaylee's got babies. I'm just super excited for the holidays and seeing my grandkids, and my kids got together for the first time, all of us with the grandbabies for Thanksgiving. It was amazing. So I hope everybody else is, enjoying their time with their families.
Yes, me too. Everybody take care and see you on the next one.